March 30th, 2022. Halfcast 271, episode 271. Let's go. Of course, I have a few things to share with you guys. An evening of reflection. Shall we? Man who buried school bus full of children for $5 million ransom approved for parole. Why does it seem like these are the folks who always get the benefit of the proper procedure during the arrest? Why aren't these the ones who get the knees to the neck or the knees to the chest for a little bit too long? Or the ones you hear went for the officer's gun while they were handcuffed and they had to be shot 7, 8, 9, 20 times? I'm just saying, a man who has been in prison for 4 decades after kidnapping a school bus of children and burying them alive in 1976 has been approved for parole. How? CNN and NBC News report. Frederick Woods, 70, was approved during a parole hearing on Friday at California Men's Colony, a state prison, after previously being denied 17 times. He had the support of 2 survivors. I believe you have served enough time for the crime you committed. Me personally, I don't think so, said survivor Larry Park, who supported Wood's release along with Rebecca Reynolds Daly. But Park added, I'm concerned about the addiction you may have about money, urging Woods to consider getting treatment. A addiction to money would maybe constitute bank robbery, snatch a few purses, credit cards, money laundering, but kidnapping a busload of children and burying them alive means you're looking for different satisfaction out of this aside from money. The money might have been the cherry on top, but the method was important to them also. Woods, along with his accomplices, brothers Richard and James Schoenfeld, kidnapped 26 children and their bus driver on July 15th, 1976, near Chowchilla, a town 125 miles southeast of San Francisco. According to CNN, the group took the 27 hostages 100 miles away to Livermore, where they were placed into a moving truck and buried alive. Woods and the brothers demanded $5 million from the State Board of Education. $5 million in 1976 is worth $24,931,107.21 today. Asking for such a ridiculously high amount of money for ransom would have me believe that they had no intention on letting them kids live, whether their demands were met or not. The children, aged 5 to 14, and bus driver were able to dig their way out after 16 hours. It was considered the largest mass kidnapping in U.S. history, the outlet reported. Governor Gavin Newsom's late father, State Judge William Newsom, reduced all 3 men's life sentences in 1980. Why? So they could have a chance at parole. For what? Richard was released. I know I'm not supposed to be biased, but Richard was released in 2012 after an appeals court order, and James was paroled by then Governor Jerry Brown in 2015. At his parole hearing on Friday, Woods read an apology for his crime. I've had empathy for the victims, which I didn't have then, he said. I've had a character change since then. Yeah, 40 years would do that. I was 24 years old, he added. Now I fully understand the terror and trauma I caused. I fully take responsibility for this heinous act. At 24 years old, you should know at the very least that burying a busload of children might be a no-no. It shouldn't take 4 decades just for you to write that fucking tearjerker. It convinced everybody you had an epiphany because Woods committed the crime when he was young. He wasn't that young. He falls into a California law that requires parole commissioners to give greater weight to freeing inmates who were convicted in their youth but are now elderly and have served long prison sentences. The approval from the parole hearing will become final within 120 days, then will be sent to Governor Gavin Newsom, where he will have 30 days to review the decision, CNN reported. Because it's not a murder conviction, Newsom cannot overrule it, but instead send it to the Board of Parole Hearings for review. Jennifer Brown Hyde, a survivor opposing Wood's parole, said he had not made complete amends for the crime. He could have done much more, she said. Even the settlement paid to some of us survivors were not sufficient. It was enough to pay for some therapy, but not enough to buy a house. Woman steals car to pick up boyfriend from jail, gets arrested. There goes my baby. A Louisiana woman has been charged after she allegedly stole a car to pick up her boyfriend from jail, according to police. Grant Parish Sheriff's Office, GPSO, said Elena Cole, 21, from Huma, admitted to having stolen a car that she used to pick up her boyfriend who was in jail. It's a love story. In a March 28th Facebook post, a GPSO spokesperson said a Huma woman was arrested after she drove a stolen vehicle to the Grant Parish Detention Center to bond someone out of jail. And here I am, can't even get a text back. Can we get some extra strawberries in that girl's edible arrangements? Grant Parish Police said Cole was later arrested and charged with illegal possession of stolen things. Wait a minute, is that in a police report? That's what they call it, stolen things? Mighty fine police work. Police did not comment in the Facebook post on when Cole was arrested or when she allegedly stole the car. According to the legal firm Accident Lawyer Louisiana, there are different penalties that can be handed down for illegal possession or stolen things. Is this really what they call it, stolen things, based on the item's value? It said if you commit the crime of illegal possession of stolen things and the value of all the things stolen is $1,500 or more, then you can face up to 10 years in jail time, pay a fine of up to $3,000 or both. This is larceny. Isn't this the definition of larceny? The legal firm continued the value of items is 500 or more, but under 1500 limit, then the offender can face up to 5 years in prison, be fined up to $2,000 or both. There you have it, children. Relationship goals. Man accused of shooting photos of women's skirts on Boston's Newberry Street. Not too long ago, there was a guy that was hiding in a woman's attic and taking pictures of where she slept and taking videos of her bed and her sleeping area. Just weird, man. If you have the courage to do that, then I promise you, you can meet a woman that will steal a car to come pick you up from jail. As long as it's not for this. A 49-year-old man appeared in court Wednesday after being accused of taking intimate photos of unsuspecting women on Boston's Newberry Street in September. Damon DeTesso of Saratoga Springs, New York, is facing 37 charges in relation to the upskirting, that's the term for it, photos, according to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. DeTesso was arraigned in a virtual hearing at Boston Municipal Court Wednesday. DeTesso allegedly took the photos of the women on September 24th by either following them on Newberry Street, weird, with his phone hanging out of his backpack, or by placing the phone on the steps of stores so women had to step over it while he sat nearby, according to the Boston Herald, which has to be the 2022 equivalent of going up the escalator with mirrors on your shoes. According to police, a manager at one of the stores called police after seeing the Tesso on the steps of the store with a backpack and a phone's camera pointing up. Sleaze. Police arrested. That's the best word I could come up with. Sleaze. Police arrested him that day and say his cell phone had photos of women's intimate body parts without their knowledge, some of which count as attempted crimes. The female victims are only identified by their clothing in the complaint. Do these people not know that there are women who will legally send you pictures and just charge you a recurring fee on your credit card? I believe that it's the act of how they're getting the pictures that excites them. The pictures are like the icing on the cake, but the real meat and potatoes are doing this type of sneaky, sleazy, low down stuff. I think that's what really excites these folks. The Tesso's lawyer, Philip A. Tracy Jr., spoke with NBC 10 Boston after the arraignment. Obviously, we are prepared to work with the DA's office to find a resolution to the case, he said. As terms of his release, the Tesso is not allowed back in Boston unless it is to meet with his attorney or attend court. Saratoga Hospital confirmed that the Tesso is a doctor who works for Millennium Medical Imaging, one of the hospital's contractors. The Tesso has requested and been granted an indefinite leave of absence until further investigation and satisfactory resolution of this matter. Dr. DeTesso will not be conducting any services related to Saratoga Hospital. The professional care and safety of our patients is of paramount importance to Saratoga Hospital, a hospital spokesperson wrote. This whole article would lead you to believe that this was some type of weirdo, some type of like recluse that just came out to take pictures of women. This was a doctor that deals with people every day. So, no telling how many women he's done this to. Pastor spent COVID-19 relief loan on Mercedes-Benz S Class. Because how I'm going to tend to the flock if I can't pull up on the herd. A Georgia pastor. Why am I not surprised? It's the latest in a line of individuals to admit to COVID-19 related funding fraud. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Georgia announced Friday that Mac Devin Knight, 45 of Kingsland, Georgia, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud after receiving $149,900 in fraudulent government funding from the Small Business Administration, SBA. Knight faces a potential prison sentence of up to 20 years in addition to substantial financial penalties and restitution. Any completed prison sentence could result in up to 3 years of supervised release. There is no parole in the federal system. The CARES Act was signed into law by former President Donald Trump on March 27th, 2020. Congress provided emergency taxpayer funding through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Security CARES Act to help financially struggling small businesses during the pandemic. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Georgia, David Estes, said in a statement, I have made fraud related to these funds a priority, and Mac Knight's prosecution should once again make it clear that this office and our law enforcement partners will not tolerate those who would try to personally profit from this program by inventing businesses and submitting fake documents. So, what we see a lot of when we're dealing with these fraud cases with COVID-19 relief funds is that these people always spend the money on themselves. So, if you go to the books, if you go to the paperwork, everything in these accounts under these shell companies that they're running shows expenditures to them, to personal things for them. You didn't write a check for your community. You didn't help anybody pay any bills. You didn't write any gas, no groceries. You didn't help anyone with any of this money, which a few receipts, a few check stubs might look good in your favor, especially if you're playing to be a pastor for a church. Court documents and testimony from February and March 2021 revealed that Knight, who according to the government made himself out to be a pastor, mortician, restaurateur, and tax preparer, reportedly applied for economic injury disaster loans from the SBA on behalf of multiple Camden County, Georgia businesses. The EIDL applications revealed that Knight lied about multiple businesses. What a shock, which he claimed had up to hundreds of thousands of dollars of gross revenue prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's see the paperwork for that. Knight's guilty plea was an admittance not only that the EIDL applications were fraudulent, but that the documents he sent to the SBA, including a fake tax document and an altered bank record, were also fabricated. A large portion of that money that Knight received from the SBA was reportedly used to purchase a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, which, due to his plea agreement, will be forfeited to the United States. So he wouldn't even think to buy something a little less flashy and then get a BS church bus to help the front. No, you don't do that. You go straight for the top, baby. How much you want to bet they give him credit for the lowest depreciation value they possibly can for that Benz? Fun show. Fun show. Fun show. That being said, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I'll be sure to talk to you guys very, very soon. Adios.